So last week I wrote about um, maybe I should buy a farm and where the hell that idea came from because it might seem like it came out of left field. And in a sense, it sort of did, but it's an idea that has just filled me with energy since it popped into my mind. And it's one I've been thinking about nonstop. I obviously wrote about it, but what I can't stop thinking about today, and which I actually had a full conversation about this morning, was one part of that seems to really hold the keys to unlocking all of what comma stands for, especially as it relates to being placed on a farm. And that to me is that fellowship piece that I wrote a little bit about. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about why that is and what's come up as I've thought about that piece and why that piece has a little extra heat to it for me than the rest of it. So I'm going to give a little bit of background to the farm idea. The full thoughts are in the piece from last week, so I'll link that below. But the basic idea came to me when I was talking to my friend Alex the other week, and he was just telling me what he's learned about the space. And in short, there were a bunch of trends that really seemed to make a ton of sense to me that made the idea of buying and owning a farm a really attractive one. And all that's, fine and good. And, the investor nerd in me loves that kind of stuff. But more than that, it was like this other puzzle piece of this comma puzzle that I've been working on for the last year and a half, really, that seems like it might fit into place. A place that was sort of empty in this puzzle before, but now seems to belong. It's more than a farm to me. Like the idea is about more than just that of owning and running a farm and becoming a farmer. Um, Ever since I've started thinking about and working on comma, the idea of having a space, a physical space for comma to occur has always been really top of mind to me. And I've thought a lot about spaces in the city. Obviously, I'm in New York City, and that's interesting to me still. But every time I think about what my dream would be you know, if the constraints were off, what would comma look like to me? It really would be a place that is full of the natural world, full of the wild. And so on top of the things that make, logically, rationally, a farm interesting from an economic point of view, and I won't list all those here, they're in the piece. In addition to those, there was like this more psychic, emotional, natural, grounded way that the idea of having a farm to be sort of the hub and the base, the foundation of the space for comma just really made a lot of sense. Because to me, comma is more than a farm, and so the space would be more than a farm. But something about the fact that a farm is inherently natural, it's linked to process like we are. So a farm is interesting to me on its own, but it's more than a farm to me as I think about what it would be in the context of comma. I listed in the piece a bunch of other things that I envision happening here through comma. That includes things like hospitality, a place to stay, a restaurant, farm to table, a cafe, a library, spaces to come and congregate, a brand that extends beyond the land, that sells things that are really made with craft and artisanship, and this storytelling, a way for me to share the process of, my own process. But in addition to that, the process of building whatever comma is and turning whatever, that farm would look like into the world of comma. And something that dawned on me is like one way that I think about this land and the space that I want comma to be is that it's not Disney World. And what I mean by that is it's not a place that is, the brainchild of an individual it's not a place that I see in my mind that I want to impose on a space. I don't want to build a land of nothingness to a land of something that is comma. It's not an imposition on the space, but in fact, like the reason a farm is so interesting to me because it has this sense of place and almost this completeness in and of itself. It's a business, it's a home, it's the natural world. It has roots, back millennia. It's one of the most ancient practices that we have, as humans. So there are all these ways that it is connected and it's really robust on its own. It stands on its own 2 feet. The way I imagine comma coming into a space like that is, yes, it's building. It requires some building up from that place, but it's more so inspired by and integrated with that place and that sense of place and its history, as opposed to the other way around. And I think we see the other way around a lot these days. Hell, I live in a city, New York, that is essentially the epitome of that. We see a place, we impose our will on it, and there's a beauty there too. I don't write that off. I don't take that lightly. That's why I live here. I love it in a sense. But when I think about comma, I think there is a place for comma in the city, but the idea of a farm just seems to fit more authentically with what and why comma is in my mind. And another piece that I was talking about this morning and just thinking a lot about was that to me, comma is also a place that's agnostic. It's not about a place that's a spiritual retreat or even one that's based in an activity like golfing or surfing or anything like that. To me, it's really important because the point of comma is humanity. It's process. It's the art of seeking and becoming, and whatever that means for everybody that shows up. So rather than a place built around a belief or an activity, it's a place for coming to connect inward, connect with the land, because I think nature has really, really powerful and unique ways that it enables us to feel connected. And from that place, connect with ourselves, connect with others who are there that are, that believe the same things that we believe, that believe in what comma stands for. And then from that place of connection and grounding, a place to create and build and express. So in a sense, it's sort of similar to the idea that you and I were just talking about it's not a place of imposition, but a place of inspiration and integration. The same idea applies here. It's a space not of imposition on a person or from the person to the place, like, oh, we want you to come here, or you want to come here to do to go to the spa or play this particular sport or even do this particular type of ceremony, but in fact to come in contact with the core of who and why you are and the direction that you're heading. It's for the people that are building their own life and whatever that means to them. And so I want comma to be a place that is a place to come back and get in touch with that core so that it can be expressed. And that, I think that requires a place that thinks differently and does things differently than so many places that I'm aware of. And the fellowship, as I kind of hit on at the top, is in a sense the heart of this angle, this direction that I'm talking about. Why is that? Yes, there's a farm. Yes, there's a hospitality wing. Those exist and are interesting. And in fact, they even exist together. There are some places that are farms that have places you can stay and eat and connect with the natural world. And that's amazing. And yet, when I think about what comma means to me and what I have envisioned for it, it is that piece I was just talking about where you inspire the people that come because they're drawn to comma to connect and express who they are for themselves and for the world. And so the fellowship, another way I put it in the piece was an incubation, a studio. In essence, what I mean and what's important to me is a space and a place for people to come on a longer time scale. So not just a hotel or a lodge or a place to come and spend a night or a weekend or even a week, but a place to come and be with a bit more structure and a bit more intention behind what's going on there. So it's a place where those that are looking to, and already are, building, creating, expressing, whether they're an entrepreneur or an artist or builder or creator or none of the above, but someone that has a vision and is in a process that they see that is broader than a specific task or goal that they're oriented towards. In other words, it's someone that has their why, that understands what they care about, what they believe in, why they're walking in the direction that they are, even if they don't exactly know what it is. I mean, that's what I relate to, is having a why, having a direction, and being in the process of journeying, and yet not knowing where I'm going, not knowing what the arrival would even look like. So a fellowship to me is a really interesting way to invite and bring people like that together, to connect with the land, to connect with themselves, to connect with others. The same thing that I want to happen for those that come and stay for a weekend, but with a bit more intention and partnership in this task of their process in their life's work. It's a place to specifically foster that creation and that expression of themselves. So comma's the why. The space, the farm, enables the how and the what. And there are multiple hows and whats. Again, there's a farming business, a hotel, a cafe, a restaurant, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And yet the fellowship really, to me, connects most deeply with the why of comma, the why of a farm, and what that really unlocks in its unique sense of place and connection with the world, and what that allows for us to connect with ourselves. And another set of ideas that I see playing a part in this whole vision is web3. And it's something that I've been obsessed with, fascinated by for the last 5 years or so in a number of ways. But really at its core, the reason I'm fascinated by it and I'm really excited about its potential is what it can do for unlocking creativity and culture. I want to explain to you how I see it playing a part in comma, particularly in the fellowship or the creative studio element. Why? Because to date, the ones that I see out there, and really all we've had access to until recently, is through the lens of corporate structure. And what I mean by that is, to date, in order to organize cleanly and efficiently resources of all kind, people, capital, and incentives, all we've had access to is the technology that is the legal structure of a company, because that's how we were able to cleanly organize who owns what. And by organizing ownership, you were able to then get everybody on the same team, point in the direction of a goal, and incentivize everyone to go in that direction. So it really is a technology, the innovation of the company, the corporate legal structure, because it enables scale, it enables mass organization, it decreases the friction for us to be able to coordinate. And as you read in Sapiens, it's that large scale mass coordination of humanity that basically enables us to be the apex creature on this earth. That is what differentiates us from apes, is our ability to tell stories, get behind an idea, and coordinate with each other to go in a shared direction. My experience in that paradigm is that, yes, everyone's aligned economically and in theory towards one goal. And yet the problem is there's so much of us in our lives and our human existence that is outside of that one particular goal that gets inherently left aside. Because with scale comes inherent dilution and leaving things to the side. And that is what I think Web3 enables us to explore and enables us to incorporate all the parts of us. Because what Web3 does in my mind, and what I think is so exciting about its potential, is that it enables us to move this locus of organization and alignment of economic and other resources down from the company level to the individual human level. And that to me is the ultimate goal, Now we've seen it a little bit already with the creator economy. There's been some investment behind individual creators, and it's super exciting. But it's using the existing tools of corporate structure. Okay, you creator X, we want to invest behind you and the creative projects that you engage in. So we're going to set up a legal entity, we're going to fund it with money, and we give you, according, to the articles of incorporation, we give you latitude to do really anything you want within these bounds, and we share in the economics of it. That's awesome. And yet I think what Web3 promises is decreased friction and essentially makes it automatic so that we don't have to go through all those extra steps. The hope that Web3 promises is the ability to move that down and make it even more seamless and more widespread. And I see the fellowship program and Comma's why as really sparking those creators, as I mentioned, to create their life and their life's work. So what I imagine for Comma, and particularly for the fellowship element of it, the place that we are building for creators, artists, entrepreneurs, any seekers really to come and create their life and life's work is less one of like a pay for experience where you pay Comma to stay and to be and for programming and for food and bev and all these other things. I imagine something that's much less transactional, much more relational, where it's more of a come, connect, create, and we partner with you, where Comma supports you in your process. And as a result, we solidify that partnership using these tools so that it's not a tit for tat, pay $10,000 for 2 weeks to come engage in the creative process, but rather maybe it's even free and enabled by this idea that like we are partnering together to create value of your choosing for your life and your life's work, which is of service to the world. And we share in that as well. So basically think of a Y Combinator, which takes a bunch of founders with ideas, invites them in, gives them resources and structure and partnership in their process of building their mission and their life's work in exchange for a stake in their company. So imagine a Y Combinator, but instead of for companies, but for people, for leaders, for seekers, and whatever that expression of their process looks like. That's what I imagine the Comma project to be, and specifically the fellowship. And I think that's a vision that's unlocked and enabled by the technologies that are still early, right? Web3 is still really early on, and the criticisms abound of people saying, I haven't yet even seen a valuable use case. Show me what it can be used for. Give me one compelling, like, we'll see, right? But I have a feeling about it. I believe in it, and I think it's going to get there. And if it does, it's really exciting to me. And I see how it could be, I see how it plays a part in Comma's future. This is what's been going through my mind. This is one of those instances where like my mind is running so much faster than my words can even catch up. And yes, it's a farm, but it's also all these other things. And it's really this like coming together of all these ideas that have been so fascinating to me for so long. And that's the exciting part. Now, look, I don't know if I will buy a farm. I don't even know if this will ever happen. But as I've shared in the past, and again, a promise I'll make to you here is like this, the Comma project as it stands today and into the future is going to be, it's a way for me to be and share in process and the process. It'll be my own, it'll be ideas and stories of others, but this is my process. This is where I'm at. It's confusing at times, even to me, many times, even to me. It's challenging, it's lonely, it's uncertain, it's scary, but this is what I want to do, period. This is the thing that matters most to me right now. And so that's the place I'm going to keep sharing from. I have this vision, I can literally see it in my mind, of Comma integrated into and inspired by the landscape of a farm. And we'll see where it goes. Let me know what you think. And I'm I'm going to keep dreaming.